Hi everyone, Beebs here, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to try and get that early 90s Gary Moore Still Got the Blues tone using the Marshall guv'nor reissue pedal. This isn't exact, it's not super accurate, but I think it's in the ballpark. Basically, Gary was using, for the Still Got the Blues tone, the Marshall guv'nor pedal going into what was a JTM 45 reissue prototype in the late 80s. And he was setting that apparently fairly clean, or very clean, and using the guv'nor to get all of the gain. So that's what I'm recreating here. However, instead of using the natural JTM 45, I'm going through the Fractal FM3 and then just kicking on the guv'nor pedal and utilizing some of the settings that I've dug out from the internet. Now you could do this with any other modeler, a Helix, a Quad Cortex, whatever, and apply the same kind of principles and just tweak to taste, use your ears. And if you happen to have a real JTM 45 or something like that, or in the ballpark, well, crank it up and knock yourself out. I'm sure that will sound freaking awesome. So what I did was start with a factory preset. Fractal's factory presets are incredible and you might as well start there. So I used preset 49, which is JM45, which is a JTM 45 preset. I stole the amp block from there and actually the cab block as well. And then I loaded it into my template here. But yeah, basically it's a clean sound. If I dig in really hard, maybe there's the slightest bit of hair there, but really, this is our clean bass. Effects-wise, I've got, starting with the reverb end, so the London plate, and it should be on channel A there actually, which is going to give me quite a long plate-based reverb. The original of Gary's tone on the record is very wet, and yeah, it's drenched in reverb really, so it blends nicely in with the mix, but yeah, isolated, you really hear it. Then going backwards, I've got the delay here. Now, I don't know if Gary uses delay on the original. I just kind of like that. If you can just hear that subtle kind of echo just ticking away at the time signature there, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then also what you can do is stick in a stereo tri-chorus on the picking part for the clean part if you want. So something like this. And that really is all that's going on in the preset there. So as I said, you could set up your Helix or your Quad Cortex or Capture or your real amps with something similar. I think the essence is that we're going for low bass, fairly pushed mids and treble, presence in the middle, and just not very much drive really. So on to the guv'nor itself. How did Gary use it, set it up, etc.? Well, digging around the internet, you can find a couple of articles and sources that I think point you in the right direction. The most useful one for me was a guitarist article and video with, I think, Neville Martin playing through some of Gary's guitars amps. And they actually had his pedals, or at least an image of his pedals with his settings marked on with marker pen. And if we look at that, we see the guv'nor here, and if I zoom in, these red markings, which you would assume are his preferred settings. So the gain here, this red marking is kind of looking about 7 to me, maybe 7.5. The bass, if it's there, these actual dials are not currently set there to those red markings, but I think that red marking is probably around 7.5 or 8 or something, maybe 9. The middle is all the way up pretty much at 10. The treble is 8, 9, and then the level is probably 6. So that you would assume is going to get us sort of in the ballpark. Now, when I did it with this guitar and the settings on the Fractal, it was really quite dark and not bright enough. I didn't want to tweak too much, as I said. I just wanted to kind of go at this and get somewhere in the ballpark. So I just adjusted it to my own taste here. So if we look on my guv'nor, I've kind of backed the bass right off to say 4.5 there. I've got the middle all the way up, and the treble and the level are pretty much in line with what Gary's settings are. I've just kind of increased the gain up to maybe, what am I on say? Probably 8, coming up to 8.5 or something. Anyway, that's pretty much the rig, and it leads us, if we kick on the guv'nor, to this infamous lead tone, or somewhere in the ballpark. To my ears, that sounds in the room pretty darn close. I'm not sure how it's going to record. Also, something that's really cool, I think, is the interaction between the sort of neck pickup and the neck pickup volume and the amount of gain he's using. For the introduction of the main theme, the tone is actually a little bit sweeter and thinner, but it's still got all that sustain on, and he achieves this just by rolling back the volume to say 4 or 5, I think. So with all this sort of gain set on the pedal, on the neck pickup, you get... And something about Les Pauls up and the higher frets, you get all this sort of like thunk on the low end in this pick attack, and you can really hear it here. If I go, it's so thick, and you hear so much of that pick attack. And I think what happens is when you wind off the volume, so back to 4 or 5, kind of reduces that, takes away some of that thunk. So you still have pretty much all the same sustain, but without the attack of the pick. And you still retain most of the sustain, but you just get a bit of a sweeter, thinner tone, and it just reduces some of that pick attack. So give that a try. I've definitely found that the pickups on this guitar are probably a bit too hot and a little too dark for this kind of a tone. You might be better with some more vintage inspired paths, perhaps. But I feel like it's close enough. I feel like I'm in the area here. I think also if I spent another few days or maybe a week sort of really dialing this in, I could get this guitar and the fractal to be really, really quite close. But let me know what you think. I mean, how close did I get it? Let me know in the comments. If you want to use this fractal preset, it'll be linked down below. And then just, yeah, hook it up with your guv'nor pedal and go to town with it. I've had tons of fun relearning the solo. It's been like stepping in a time machine because I really don't play this way at all anymore. So it's going right the way back to my early influences when I was a teenager. It's nearly 30 years ago. It's crazy. I'm not going to do any kind of lesson or breakdown or teaching of the licks in this video. It's already running quite long. So if you do want any of that and you want to teach how to play some of this stuff, then yeah, let me know in the comments. And any other ideas for gear or lessons or any other content you want to see, open to ideas as always, so do let me know. If you've enjoyed the video, then do leave a like, maybe subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications. Check out my app Solo. This is for learning to visualize the fretboard and changes playing. You can get that on the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store. I've got guitar lessons and courses over on my website at davidbeebe.com. I also co-host a Guitar Hour podcast, Guitar Hour podcast from time to time. All the links to that stuff is in the description below. And yeah, until next time, bye-bye. I'll see you in another video.